I was going through this article this morning, and this was a specific report, and this report has some pretty startling information because it was covering data about viewership over the last 30 years in terms of NBA regular season TV viewership trends. And some of the information I discovered here, I have to be quite honest with you, was absolutely startling. In this first graphic, it says 30-year NBA regular season TV viewership trend, right? So I just looked at the recent data this morning, and I found out the average viewership per game is 1.6 million. So if you look at some of these bars, rather, you'll see that in the 90s, mid 90s, you see the red where it has MJ is back. You see the average viewers, like I'm going to assume that's between 2.5 to 3 million. Then you have 3 million. Then you have, what is it? Above 2 million, above 2 million. Then you have the lockout season when it spiked it as well. And then you have the 2000s. It was still above 2 million. It dipped under 2 million again. Then it went back up. Then what happened? It dropped towards the late mid 2000s, excuse me. Then it went up in 2005. That was LeBron's rookie season. Then it kind of trended up, but it was still always under 2 million viewers. Then it spiked up when LeBron moved to Miami. But when it spiked up, it hit the 2 million mark in terms of an average, kept that average, but it could only sustain that for a number of years. And then it dropped. And then from that point forward, if you look at LeBron to Miami, to LeBron to Lakers in present day, if you were just to put a line or like a slope, you would see that this graph is actually declining, which means that NBA viewership is actually decreasing. So whenever they say, oh, viewership is up 1% over last year, they're talking about a previous low that it beat. So that made me curious, and I was like, well, let me comb through the internet a little bit further and look at some other data, right? And I decided to comb through, and I came across some finals viewership numbers. And as a matter of fact, the highest viewed game this NBA playoffs, whether you believe it or not, was Stephen Curry and the Sacramento Kings. I think that game, I forgot the amount of viewers. Do I want to say it was 9.8 million? I could be wrong, but they had the highest rated games in terms of viewership these playoffs so far. So I started combing through the data here, and I started looking at some of these average viewer numbers in the finals, because the finals is the biggest stage in this particular sport. And in the 2022 finals, the average is around 12 million viewers per game, with the high in game 6, about 14 million. Now that was up because the year prior in 2021 with the Bucks and Suns, I think they averaged under 10 million viewers a game. The Orlando bubble, that was the worst one, when you had averages of about 7 million, 6 million, 5 million. And in game 6, it was 8.2 million. It was a terrible, terrible year. So then I started combing through the graph, and I'm like, well, where are the highest years? Then I saw some of the high years. You had the 2004 finals between the Los Angeles Lakers and the Detroit Pistons. That was game 5, I believe. Let me see. Game 4. And that game brought in 20 million viewers. Then I went to go look at the Golden State Warriors. The first time those two teams met with the Warriors and the Cavs, it was averaging 19 million, 17.7 million, 19 million, 18 million, 19 million, 20 million. Then in 2016, it was about the same in the 20s. No, in the high teens. And then in 2017, it was 20 and 24.4, which was the highest game. I think that was game 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But then I discovered that the highest viewed basketball games were in the 1998 finals, where in game 1, the viewership number was 29 million. Game 2 was 27 million, 26.7. Game 3 was 26.3 million. And then I think you had game 4. Anyway, and in the last game, because I'm not sure about this data, I think this maybe game 5, was 30 million. And in game 6, it was 35.6 million viewers. And to this day, that game 6 holds the record for the most viewed game, the most viewed finals game in NBA history.